How are you, James? You good?
Hey, good. How are you doing, man?
I'm okay.
Well, yeah, I guess I try to approach these things with, curiosity instead of
Hmm.
like, I don't know, acting like I know everything because obviously I don't. But I've been
Hmm.
watching your videos for a while, and so originally, I'm in Minnesota, so I'm in the U.S., but
Hmm.
kind of grew up with a Christian background and kind of never really understood the whole church thing and stuff, and then went through a phase of going to church and thought I had found like the truth and stuff, and then a while back I had ordered a Quran and a Bible on the internet, like free at the same time,
Hmm.
and made the joke like whichever one came first is the one that is the religion that I would follow. I didn't know anything about
Okay.
Islam other than like Fox News and stuff like that,
Where
but
did you order from?
so it ended up being OMF, One Message
Okay.
Foundation, which
Okay.
is funny.
Okay.
I've never heard of it before then, but it was like maybe 9 months later, I randomly got a Quran in the mail, and I
Okay.
had totally forgotten about it. So it was kind of funny. And then, I just kind of kept it.
Oh, your audio changed. It was very good. What happened? Is it disconnected or something? Yeah, now it's better. Yeah.
All
It
right,
was
sorry
it,
about
it
that.
was very clear, and then it was not very clear. So all of a sudden.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's
So
okay. So
so
so you never got the Bible. So you're saying 9 months later you
never
got the
got the
Quran.
Bible. Never got
No,
the
no, but
Bible.
but I need to speak to the One Message Foundation. It's not good. 9 months later, you get the Quran. Why? you should
Hey, I'm
get,
not trying to
you should,
expose anyone.
no, 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 no,
6 months.
you should get much sooner, man. That's not good.
Hey, they're free, so I
Okay.
can't complain, man. I can't
Subhanallah.
complain. So
Okay.
So, anyways,
Uh-huh.
a while after that, I just kind of kept it on the shelf, and I
Uh-huh.
get a call from a random number, and I didn't know why, but I decided to answer it. And it was this woman working for OMF who asked me
Okay.
if I wanted to learn about Islam, and I don't know
Okay.
why, but I ended up having like an hour and a half long conversation with her about it,
Uh-huh.
and that was a while ago. And so, I guess it could be a case of like Allah guiding me towards Islam, but
Okay.
I've like never really told the story to anyone. But
Uh-huh.
anyways, so I've been learning about Islam for a while. I haven't read a whole lot of the Quran. I guess I'm kind of guilty of that, more so watching like Dawah instead of reading the
Uh-huh.
Quran, which is probably something I'm guilty about. But I guess I've been meaning to hop on to talk to you
Uh-huh.
about a few questions I had,
Uh-huh.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. Of course.
I guess one thing I grapple with is if God created, obviously God is all knowing, and if
Uh-huh.
God created creation with the knowledge that evil acts would be done as a result of giving them free will, then how is God not responsible for those evil things?
Because they're choosing to do them.
I understand that argument, I do, but
It's
but
not
you
an
would
argument. It's not an argument really. But I always found that this is the case. So this is something that some people find problematic and some people don't find problematic. It's the idea of like, do you get the point? The idea of free will. If you want to call it free will, even though we don't believe in free will, but the will to choose basically. You
right.
actually have a choice in what you do. Because there is no absolute free will. You didn't choose which body you're going to be born, which language you're going to speak. All of these things are determined in a way. But the thing is this, as Muslims, as I said to you, look, there's two types of people who grapple with this. Some people who find it very problematic, some people who completely understand it straight away. And I always find it with the people who don't understand it, they never get it. And there's not enough rationality you can give them for them to understand this point. Therefore, this is something that those people in the end have to accept. Because the fact is, this is not a foundation of any of the religion. Because this concept you can grapple with in any religion that you want to believe in. If there is a creator, the creator has to be all-knowing, has to be all-powerful, and then therefore, he knows what's happening. He knows the future. He knows the past. So
Right.
It's not something that is Muslim specific or Christian specific. That's why you'll find Calvinists in the Christian tradition who believe one thing, and then you'll find three schools of thought there. You'll find three schools of thought in philosophy. People who are determinists, people who are completely free will libertarian, people in the middle who are compatibilists. You'll find these schools of thought really in any tradition or any religion, I would say.
Is that the case in Islam with the different? Is it Aqidah? Is that the right term? Is there different, or is there one, idea of free will that is acceptable in the faith?
Yeah, so no, there is one true idea that is accepted, but there are heretic groups. But they were mostly early on Islam. But there's still some heretics who believes heretic beliefs. So in Islam, if you read the Quran, it's quite simple that the servant of God or the person has a choice that he makes, and in the same time, God knows everything. He knows the future, and everything is under Allah's will. These two things are explicitly mentioned in the Quran. There is a compatibilistic position to understand these verses. If you take one and leave the other, then you're rejecting clear-cut verses of the Quran, which is a heretic position by default. So there was early groups that tried to do that, and the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, for example, completely said we're free from these people. These people are not even Muslims. Because they denied one of the articles of faith, which is Qadr. There are 6 articles of faith. You cannot deny any of them, or you're not even a Muslim. You have to believe in all of them. So, as I said, this idea of free will and determinism, this idea of free will and determinism, it's usually a very binary thing, as I said. It's either it's very easy for people to understand and comprehend, or it is difficult, in which then they would have to submit to the concept without getting a specific rational explanation that give it to them. But as I said, it is just based on whether religion is true or not.
Right.
Religion is true because God's existence is absolute. But even, this is what I'm saying, even atheists have to grapple with this concept, you know? So whether you're religious or not, right? So you'll get people like Sam Harris, like he will try to claim that everything is determined, while you'll have other people who will say, no, you have free will. Because even if they don't believe in God, they still believe in causality. And if there is causality, then things are determined materialistically if you don't believe in the unseen. So either way, you believe in the unseen, you don't believe in the unseen, you're Christian, you're atheist, you're Jew. Whatever you are, this concept is something you cannot escape. So it's not really a criticism towards Islam or a criticism towards any specific religion.
Right. It's more of just like a fundamental existential thing. Exactly. And I think it's easier to grapple with if you believe in God than if you don't believe in God.
Absolutely. I would claim if you don't believe in God and you're a materialist, you're forced to believe that everything is determined. You have no choice.
Right.
If you claim that everything is not determined, you're just pretending. Because if it's just materialism, then everything is a consequence of another thing. It's a causality. Where you are today is a cause of where you were before. But Muslims believe we're not just materialistic beings. It's a soul. And this is where the idea of choice comes in as well. It's not just the physical beings, and cause and effect is what determines everything.
Sorry, my cat's food just went off. So I kind of, on that same note, the other thing I had here, I guess it's kind of like an extension of that, but with the idea of like evolution, and I've heard some of your videos about evolution, and I think the arguments against Darwin are pretty compelling. But is there anything in the Islamic faith regarding, like, obviously, if you believe in the Islamic tradition, you believe that humans were created by Allah, but is there in a sense of like guided evolution when it comes to like creatures changing over time, even like people changing over time? Is that, or is it more so a matter of everything is the way it is? Yeah, so there is like a long monologue of my channel, where I went on for like almost 2 hours on evolution, and like people are welcome to watch that. It's called Muslims Rationally and Scientifically Dismantle Evolution, where I go through like my personal position, by the way, because I even say in that video that's not necessarily an Islamic position. But that's my personal position. I give reasons for why I hold that position. But when it comes to evolution, it's not a black and white thing. And the problem is that a lot of people have not studied it. That's why they don't understand why it's not a black and white thing. So when you say evolution first, there's a difference between evolution and Darwinian evolution, because there's different types of evolution. There's different theories of evolution. And some of these are adopted by some people in the scientific field today in the West among atheists, and some others are adopted by others. So they don't all agree on one theory or one understanding of evolution. Then you have, like, for example, is it one origin? Is it multiple origins? Idea of gradualism? All of these things, they disagree amongst one another on to begin with. So, but when people say evolution, just the word evolution, that things can evolve, or that things can adapt to their environments, is not a problematic concept from an Islamic perspective. Our problem is when you claim, now specifically neo-Darwinism, right? When you claim that, all animals and humans have evolved from a single cell organism that they don't even know where it came from. This is where we have a problem. You have this magic custard that was like, some thunder happened, and like this magic custard formed a cell and magically became multiple cells, and magically became a being, that magically became a fish, that magically started walking, magically did all of that, right? So they have to believe in all of that magic to reach this idea in which they believe today. And you got people like Richard Dawkins who would say aliens placed the magic custard on Earth, because he knows it's completely ridiculous to accept that a single cell came from nothing. It's because those who really understand what a cell is composed of, like when you understand that a cell is mainly made of proteins, and proteins are mainly amino acids, and is like in each protein you have 100 amino acids, and there are varieties of these amino acids, and there is two types as well, left-handed and right-handed, if you want to give a term for them.
You need to have 100 from each together to make one protein. And then you need millions of proteins to create the singular smallest cell, which is a bacteria cell. So imagine it this way, like there is a bag, okay? There is a bag, and there is like, there is an empty bag and there is two bags, blue balls and red balls, okay? Mm-hmm. And then you have to put 100 red balls in that bag to form one protein. And then you need 1 million bags, or over millions actually, it's actually millions of bags. And you have to do all of this process continuously, either put red or black balls continuously for 1 million times in each bag, randomly, without any influences. And the more time there is, the more bad it is actually, because these amino acids are quite unstable. So the more time you have, the more these amino acids will become unstable, in which will not form you the protein that you're trying to form. So it's like, all of this is like, as I said, it's just they have to believe in this magic. They would rather believe in this magic custard than to believe in a creator.
Yeah,
which is a far more, like, I would say, rational position.
It's really crazy to me, because it's almost like how complex and amazing it is. It's almost evidence in and of itself of God to me.
Absolutely, it is. So our position is as simple as that. Like, Muslims don't believe humans evolved from single cell organism. They believe Adam was created directly by God. This is explicit in the Quranic text. Now, to do with the animals, did these animals adapt to their environments or not? This is something, there is no explicit thing in the Quran that talks about this. But again, I reject this idea of randomness. There's no such thing as random. And if you're an atheist materialist, you cannot claim randomness, because I already mentioned everything is cause and effect. So for you to say randomness, you're making up a concept that cannot exist in your worldview to begin with, you know? So you cannot have randomness as an atheist to begin with. So,
right.
Yeah, so I reject anything that has the word random in it to do with the process.
And I think I got to go here, but I've got time for maybe one more quick question. But okay. One thing that I've been thinking a lot, and maybe this might be isolated to like a Christian like belief because of just how kind of shaky it all is, but is there anything in the Quran or anything in the Hadith or, you know, any Islamic perspective on feeling doubt? Like, is feeling doubt a normal thing? Do you believe in humans generally with something, you know, such as, you know, pondering our own eternity? Or do you feel like Islam is such a rational, logical kind of path and belief that it's kind of hard, and as you move further into it, you feel less doubt about
Okay, so that's a good question, actually. It's a great question, because I think a lot of people use the term doubt and they don't understand the term doubt. Like, I do think this is a problem. That some people, they might think something is a doubt, or it's more of a question rather than a doubt. A doubt is where you're not sure whether this thing is right or wrong. A question is where you don't understand the specific thing. You're curious about what does this specific thing mean. So a lot of Muslims, they message me and say, I have a doubt. And what they mean by that is they have a question. You know? How do you explain a specific part of the Quran? That's not a doubt. That is like a question, something that you've not fully understood, that you do not know how to take it, how to perceive it. And then you want to ask that specific thing. That's fine. Like, people can have these questions. It's completely fine for someone to have a question. Doubt is problematic when it comes to the essential beliefs. You cannot have a doubt about the essential things, like about God's existence, Prophet Muhammad being a messenger of God, or the Quran being the word of God. That can take you out of Islam. If you're not sure whether the Prophet is a messenger or not, you're not a Muslim. You cannot be a Muslim without being sure that he's a messenger of God. You cannot be a Muslim without knowing the Quran is from God. You cannot be a Muslim without believing in God. So having a question about it is different than to doubt whether he exists or he doesn't exist. But also, certainty and doubt is like 3 levels. So the first one is like to believe it in your heart, which is from a theoretical point of view, from a rationality point of view, right? This is the first level that you need to achieve, is like you're convinced rationally that this is from God. Now, there's a second level, which is actually to see it, to have certainty by seeing that thing. And the third level is to actually experience it. So we have actual prophets of God who already had the first level, but they were asking for the second level. For example, Moses, where he said, Rabbi arini andur ilayk, oh my Lord, I want to see you. So he wants to move, he already is communicating with God directly, speaking with God, actually speaking with God, right? But he wants to move to the next level where he sees actually the Creator. And then Allah responds by that, you're not going to be able to bear it in this life, right? Your eyesight is not able to bear it. Also Abraham, he asked for something, that he wanted the next level of certainty where God actually turns a bird from a clay into actual living bird, and he sees it. After he has this clay bird and puts a part in every mountain, it forms into a bird and it actually flies, and he sees that with his own eyes. So that's the next level now, where you're actually seeing these things. It's the next level of certainty. But the first level of certainty, which is to be sure, be convinced without a shadow of a doubt, that okay, the Quran is from Allah, that Allah is the creator, and Prophet Muhammad is a messenger, you have to have it to be a Muslim.
Got it. Well, I appreciate it, man. I'm going to try to hop on here another time. I've got some more questions, but I got to go. But I really appreciate it, man. And thanks for all the videos and all the information you do. It's been very helpful for me on my journey. So,
my pleasure, man. Honestly. Okay, I'll see you next time.
See ya, man.
Bye-bye.